My name is Lizzie, and this is Lizzie's Literary Life, and today I'm bringing you through my wrap-up for episodes 1 through 3 of round 1 of my version of Jokes on Me. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Jokes on Me is my friend Bailey from Is Bailey Reading's TBR game. And she plays this continuously. She's played it for like over a year. It's so fun to watch. I love it. Definitely go check it out. It's a TBR game with a game board and cards and all sorts of special rules that the goal is to read your physical TBR. She's been playing this with the goal of getting her physical TBR down to 10 books. She's revamping it for the new year with like season 2 of jokes. So definitely go check that out when she starts that up after Squash That series in February. But in November, some of which you may remember from I've mentioned it in videos before, but some of my friends and I decided to play Bailey's TBR game. So Martine played and has vlogs on her channel, just Martine. Ruby played and has vlogs on her channel, Ruby Red, so they'll all be linked in the description. And I intended to do vlogs, and then it just didn't happen. So I'm here to bring you a wrap up of everything I read. And the way this is going to work, I'm going to show you my flips. I'm going to tell you my TBR for each episode. And then I'm going to give stats for each episode and a favorite and a least favorite book. Because all these books and like my full thoughts are in my wrap ups. They're mostly in my November wrap up. And the ones that aren't will be in my December wrap up. So you've heard about these books before. I just want to tell you about my jokes experience. Starting with episode 1. Roll the clip.
Okay, I'm so excited. My game piece is a puzzle piece, of course, and we are going to do 3 card flips. A 5, which is just normal. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pole pick.
So the first card we flipped was a 5. We landed on pole pick. And so the poll that I put in my Discord with my friends was I had the art emoji for Pure Color by Sheila Heti. That's just a random book that's on my physical TBR. Figured I should include it. I used the broom emoji for Weird Sisters by Terry Pratchett, which is a book I'd been meaning to get to before Squash That series. I put a snowflake, 5 Total Strangers by Natalie D. Richards, because I was in the mood for a thriller, and that's a random thriller. It's not on my physical TBR, but it's a random thriller I'd wanted to read. And then a buddy read that I had coming up, the dagger emoji for Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. And there was 1 vote for broom and 3 votes for snowflake. So we ended up reading 5 Total Strangers by Natalie D. Richards.
A 2, so we have to do the prompt twice. 1, 2, from my store. Oh no. I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do for that. And I have to do it twice.
And then we got a 2 where you do the prompt twice and we landed on from my store. So obviously I don't have a store. This is Bailey's prompt for, she has a little pop-up bookstore and she keeps all these books in her basement so that she can sell books at different fairs and festivals and things. And so those books are not technically on her physical TBR, but she does have access to them. So she goes and picks a book from her store. What I did was I found a shelf that I have access to that is not mine, which is the shelf at my partner's parents' house, where a lot of her books are, my partner's books are. And I just went, and I will show you a little clip of their library right here. It's beautiful. And I picked 2 books from their shelf. The first one being The Terror by Dan Simmons, which I picked up because my partner Abby said she loved that one and read it multiple times. So I wanted to try it. And then I picked just kind of a random one that seemed interesting to me. The Weird Sisters by Eleanor Brown. Had never heard of it before, but it was on the TBR for this episode because it was in, I picked it from those shelves.
Eight, which is do the opposite. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Opposite of recent purchase, probably TBR vet.
And then we flipped an 8, which is, and we landed on recent purchase, but for an 8, you do the opposite. So I did a book that I purchased a really long time ago. So it wasn't a book that I like was given or got from a little free library. It had to be a book I purchased. And the oldest book I purchased that I could think of, I did purchase from a thrift store, but it was The Number One Ladies Detective Agency by Alexander McCall Smith. I had purchased this from a thrift store years ago and never read it. And then Bailey always does a My Choice book for each episode. So she gets to pick a random book, and I picked a book I had for a read-along, for the Magic Treehouse read-along, which was What the Dead Know by Barbara Butcher. So in this episode, I had 5 books to read, and it took me 15 days. I started on November 2nd and ended on November 16th. Started the first book on November 2nd and ended the last one on November 16th, so it took me 15 days to finish the episode. It was a total of 1,914 pages, which ended up taking me 27.87 hours of reading. My average rating for this episode was a 2.9. So not great, but not great. My favorite book from this episode was The Terror, which was a 4-star. I thought it was very well done, a little too long, and a couple elements didn't quite work perfectly for me, but I really enjoyed it. And my least favorite from this episode was The Number One Ladies Detective Agency. I did not like this one, and it's funny because when I picked it up at that thrift store, my mom was like, oh yeah, I read that and I didn't like it. And I was like, well, it's $1, I'll buy it anyway. And then I read it, and I didn't like it. So there we go. That was a 2-star. It wasn't like awful, but it was not very engaging, and I didn't really like it. And then we flipped for episode 2.
Okay, it is time for Jokes on Me, card flips for episode 2. We landed on recent purchase, which I did the opposite of because it was an 8. My setup's a little precarious, but that's okay. We are going to flip our first card, and it is a 2. With a 2, I do the prompt twice, and it is least popular. Least popular twice.
So first I got a 2, and I landed on least popular, so I need to read 2 books and that were the least popular. And for this, it's not lowest average rating, it's lowest number of ratings. So I sorted my Goodreads shelf, not necessarily my own shelf, but just all my Goodreads want to read, and found the lowest number of ratings books, and that was Point Claw by Amber J. Kaiser and Foreign Bodies by Kimiko Han. So these books, I don't know when I had put them on my TBR, but no one really has ever heard of them. But they, they're books. They were on my want to read. I read them.
A 7. Jump across the board. Okay, so wait, that means I go here, right? 1, 2, 3. I go boop all the way to sequel, and I'm almost finished with my round.
And then we landed on sequel, and for this I did read Weird Sisters by Terry Pratchett, which I mentioned earlier was on my poll. I've been meaning to get to this as a sequel. I want to read it read more further along in this series before squash that series. So I got to this one.
So I got 2 least popular, 1 sequel, and then so I'm not almost done with my round. That's cool. That's fine. That's it is what it is. So I will be starting over, which means now instead of getting back to longest on shelf, I have to get back to sequel to finish this round.
And then, right after saying I was almost done with my round, I got a joker. And for a joker, joke's on me, you gotta start your round over, basically. So I now have to get all the way back around the board. But there's no book for that one. And then my choice for this episode was a book club book, Dance Upon the Air by Nora Roberts. So we had 4 books to read for episode 2. I started the first one on November 16th and finished the last one on November 20th, which was a total of 5 days. It was a total of 1,073 pages, which took me 11.87 hours of reading. My average rating for this episode was even worse at 2.75. My favorite was Foreign Bodies, which was the poetry collection that I got for least popular. It was a poetry collection. I liked it. I never really know how to rate poetry, but I liked it, so I gave it 4 stars. And my least favorite was Dance Upon the Air, the My Choice book, the book club book. I gave that 1.5 stars. And then we move on to episode 3 with basically a fresh board because we just got a Joker. So, this is the crazy one. Here we go.
Okay, so we ended the last episode on sequel and on a Joker, so we have to get all the way back to sequel to finish the round. So first card flip is a 3. Do all 3 prompts. Readathon, random number, and longest on shelf.
So first I got a 3 where you do all 3 prompts. You move 3 spaces and move all 3 prompts. So the first one was readathon. And for this, Bailey banks a week of time where she's allowed to do a readathon and focus completely on that instead of playing Jokes on Me. But I decided since I'm not playing this consistently, I would do, and I'm not doing anything, and I wasn't doing any readathons at that moment. I decided to do a book to prepare for a readathon for Squash That series. So I read another in the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett. We'll get to it. I picked Pyramids by Terry Pratchett, which is book, I think, 7 in that series. And then we landed on random number, which I randomized my physical TBR cart, and I got The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin. And then it was longest on shelf, which I kind of a tiny bit cheated, but then I didn't really, and you'll see in a minute. So the longest book on my shelf on this TBR cart technically is The Mists of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley. Now, I do not want to read this book, ever. I don't want to read it anymore. So I went with the second longest book on my shelf, which was The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois by Honoré Fanon Jeffers. And that's our 3. We already got 3 books in one flip, and one of them is very long, almost about 800 pages.
A jack, so I have to unhaul a book.
And then we pulled a jack. So I used this opportunity to make my cheat not a cheat, and I am officially unhauling The Mists of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley. So it's not on my TBR anymore. I don't want to read it. I decided I didn't want to read it a while ago. I'm going to get rid of it. And now the W.E.B. Du Bois pick is actually the longest book on my TBR.
And another 3? Okay. Owned at least 1 year, reread of choice, and a Chris pick.
And then we got another 3, bringing the total of this episode up to 6 books, plus a My Choice, which is 7. So we got Owned for 1+ years, which I chose The Girl Who Played with Fire by Stieg Larsson. This I have had definitely since I moved into this house, this apartment, so over a year and a half. We got a reread of choice, which I decided to reread Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. I got a beautiful copy, it's right here, from Kayla Ray Reads for Secret Santa last year. And I wanted to read that copy, and I wanted to kind of start the series over because I never fully finished it. I got up to book 5 and never went further, so I want to reread those ones and finish off the series. Then I got a Chris pick. So I gave Chris is Bailey's husband. And I was like, will Chris pick a book for me? And Bailey said yes. So what I did was I pulled all of my upcoming, soon to come in Libby holds. Because I knew I had to get those on there somewhere or skip them. So it was I'm going to read them now or I'm not going to read them. Because there's so much going on coming up. So I gave him choices of my 4 upcoming Libby holds, which I believe were A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed, The Last Word by Taylor Adams, Hester by Lori Albanese, and The Writing Retreat by Julia Bart's, which is the one that he chose because it had trees on the cover and he likes trees. And then my choice book for this episode was a buddy read, Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I needed to get to it in November, so I put it in as my choice. And so that's 7 books in this episode, and several of them are quite long. So I started this episode on November 20th, and today it is December 17th, and I technically still have to finish Pyramids by Terry Pratchett. Now, I have about 2 hours left, and I'm planning to finish it tonight. If I don't finish it tonight, it will be finished tomorrow, so that's 27 days, potentially 28 days to finish this episode, but I'm determined to finish that book tonight, so it's going to happen. It was a total of 3,279 pages for a total of 50.16 hours of reading. That's including the projected time it'll take me to finish Pyramids. My average rating thus far, not including Pyramids, is a 4.33 though. So this episode was long and hefty and took me a long time, but excellent book. So a 4.33. Pyramids is not going as well. If I give it, the lowest I'll probably give it is a 2-star. So if I give it a 2-star, that brings my average rating down to a 4. But that's still a really good average rating, and it's probably going to get a 2.5. My favorite book was Anne of Green Gables. That was the 5-star, but that was a reread. So my favorite new book I read for this was actually a tie between Assassin's Apprentice and The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois. I was gonna go with the latter, but then I was like, I literally just finished it a minute ago, so it's probably recency bias, and I did love Assassin's Apprentice, and they're both 4.5 stars, so they're gonna just get it as a tie. And my least favorite, even though I haven't finished it yet, maybe it could shock me, but I don't think it will, is Pyramids by Terry Pratchett, which is not going to get higher than a 3, and all of the others were 4 or higher, which is incredible. So I am 3 episodes in and not very far into the board because of my Joker and my extensive low numbers. But we are putting this on hold because of December projects and squash that series in January and early February. But I'm going to pick it back up for episode 4 in mid-February probably. And I will start exactly from where I left off. And I'm going to try to vlog, but maybe I won't, and maybe I'll just do this again because this was kind of fun too. And I will finish this round eventually. And then at the end of the round, I will give you full round stats. But I hope you enjoyed this video going through my first 3 episodes. I have loved playing this game, actually. Like, this has been so fun that I feel like I might do it again, even after I'm done with this round. Like, I might do it more, because I felt like it was perfect, like, bite-sized chunks, except for this episode 3, which was a little hefty, but it was mostly, like, bite-sized chunks of books, just, like, a couple books that I could read and then have, like, a reward of getting to flip 4 more books. That was super fun, and while I love Jigsaw TBR and would love to bring it back, it just takes so long to film, and then, like, having a full month's worth of books to then think about and prioritize is a little harder than just having this bite-sized chunk, and I like the My Choice. I just love this game, and I love when Bailey plays it, and I loved when I played it too. So thank you, Bailey, for letting me play your game, and thank you, everyone, you who are watching. Please comment down below if, I don't know what you should comment. Comment saying hi or something, I don't know. And like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.